Cloning is one of the most controversial topics in modern science. Scientifically, cloning is taking a cell from a grown organism and manipulating it to ignore its specific instructions and to follow the scientist's orders to create a genetically identical copy of that organism. The cell is then implanted in a womb and grown as a normal organism. Some animals, like Dolly the sheep, have been successfully cloned, but the ethical dilemma of cloning still causes much hesitation. Dolly was created from a cell taken from a grown sheep, and she was the first mammal to be cloned. Until Dolly was born, it was thought that the mechanisms that pick the relevant DNA code for a cell to adopt the identity of skin rather than muscle, brain, or whatever were so complex and so rigidly fixed that it would not be possible to undo them. The cell that eventually became Dolly was taken from a 6-year-old sheep. Ironically, Dolly died when she was 6, and reconfigured to drop its specific skin cell instructions. The cell nucleus was then transplanted into an egg cell from a second sheep, and then inserted into the uterus of a third sheep, and then a fourth to develop. Cloning has only been successful in some cases, and experimenting or cloning a human is risky business because it is likely to create heartbreaking birth defects, as it has in some attempts to clone animals. There are many reasons why a couple might want to clone. The couple might not be able to get pregnant the natural way, and cloning could be used as an alternative to in vitro fertilization. Parents that want to deliver a clone baby that looks exactly like them, however, could be accused of being narcissistic and would not be socially accepted for a long time. As shown in the movie Godsend, parents may often resort to cloning because they hope to replace a child who has died too young. Although the clone in the movie was physically identical to the first child, he had a drastically different personality, and this could result in psychological trauma for everyone in the family, the disappointed parents and the child who could not live up to their hopes. Many people are concerned with the dehumanization that results from test tube babies, and argue that cloning to produce children could disrupt the normal relationships between generations and within families, could turn children into manufactured products rather than independent beings, and could put undue pressure on a cloned child to live in the shadow of a genetically identical adult. However, many scientists would disagree, saying that a clone, like an identical twin, would not, and indeed could not, be a mere copy of its progenitor. They claim that there would not be armies of identical soldiers running around, nor would there be families with identical children. But if cloning becomes a safe and common procedure, who can guess what effects it would have on the future of society and science? Cloning would cause great damage if it took hold of our society, but odds are that even if cloning is one day perfected, it will not explode as a popular means of reproduction in the general public. The ethical dilemmas associated with cloning, if it is perfected, may be put on hold for now, but other means of creating a perfect child, like the Human Genome Project, are still being experimented with and even practiced. The Human Genome Project was the international collaborative research program whose goal was the complete mapping and understanding of all the genes of human beings. All our genes together are known as our genome. Scientists aim to figure out the specific genes that cause different genetic diseases, but the discovery of each and every gene and what it does will allow scientists to determine and manipulate the genes for inherited traits. After the diseases are mapped and taken care of, analysis of the impact of genomics on such concepts as race, ethnicity, kinship, individual and group identity, health, disease, and normality for traits and behaviors is inevitable. Parents would be able to pick out traits like intelligence, personality, and physical appearances for their child, and create their own baby before it is put in the womb. Couples are already given the option to select the sex of their child. Unlike cloning, the designing of babies would definitely catch on quick, and the repercussions of this on future generations would be astronomical. The individuality of each child and the beauty of the random meshing of chromosomes in a natural conception would be destroyed. Discrimination would run rampant between the next generations, and hundreds of social problems would result. It seems that any scientific endeavor involving the creation of life brings with it tons of ethical and moral implications. The vast effects of these discoveries on future generations are not only unpredictable, but also unavoidable. There are some things that are best left alone in the scientific community, and humans creating life is definitely one of them.